everyone hear me, right? Yeah. Good. So part of my work in my postdoc is about how to design reputation-based information design for reducing energy consumption. Okay, so first I will introduce a little bit my work, what are the approach, and what is the model, and just give you some insight about what we are trying to do. And then, of course, if you want to discuss after or just wait for next month, we can go for that. So basically, our question, but basically, of course, the problem is really more general, is how to reduce energy demand in the low-tension residential consumer segment. And so if you think about this problem, most of you will tell me about price. So yeah, you can do price, and this is people have done it a lot. However, if you really look for like residential consumer, there is a problem of politically feasible to implement Petovian carbon taxes, like start to implement taxes just about energy saving is really hard. So just think about the situation in India, and do you think like a politician will say, okay, so I will tax you if you have more energy and so on. So even in France, it's not possible. So, and it's a little bit more stable. So, and not just about that, you need a lot of information to do that, to have the right price. So basically, you know, to be, assuming that you say, that, okay, if you buy this new stuff, you will be more efficient. But you really need to guess what will be the demand and so on to create taxes or to create price incentive or give some money for buying this new stuff. And it's kind of easy if it's for company because it's working well and so on. But when you look at the consumer level, it's really harder. So now people are really interested in what we call norm-based approaches or reputation-based approaches, where basically you do psychological incentive that will try to nudge consumer to conserve energy. So you don't know what is a psychological incentive, right? But just tell me first why people are trying to use it in the US and even in France. So Rajesh have done an experiment on the Kerala with this psychological incentive to try really to reduce the energy consumption, and it kind of worked, at least a little bit. And so what is nice, it's kind of inexpensive. So you just create a system, and that's it. It's not like prices where you need to allocate a budget of the state, and so on. So for example, what have been done in the US is you measure the consumption of electricity in all the house, in a small neighborhood, and you add on a door a visible feedback form where you give your own consumption. Basically, you inform the agent of exactly what is consuming, and you also give the average consumption of the neighborhood. And what will happen in this case is, so you look at the consumption of your neighborhood, and if you're a little bit below, so perhaps you will increase a little bit, but if you are above, then you will decrease your consumption. So it's a basic example of what can be a psychological incentive. So the question is how to use a mathematical model to design, to understand what is the best incentive. So our assumption is like energy saving is a pro-social action. So it's altruistic right now to do a pro-social action. And what will happen is that now we can really use all the psychological study about why people do a pro-social action. And there is three factors. The first one is an intrinsic motivation. So you just want to do it because you think it's good to do it, but just for yourself. Of course, you have a cost associated to this action. And the last part, which is the most important part for us, because we will play on that, you have a reputation side. So you will do this action, you will be altruist, you will save energy, because you think that in front of the society, you can show off a little bit. Or just also, not just in front of the society, but also in front of yourself. because you look at yourself and you say, oh, I'm a good people, I'm a good guy, I'm part of the good guy. So this is what we call reputation. So it's not the first time that people try to use reputation to increase altruism. So if you just think about blood donors, right? When you give your blood, most of the time you have a small pins that you can put here. And basically, it has been used to show to the other people that you have given blood and basically I'm better than you. So, but it's also for yourself, you have kind of a reward that's, oh, I can look myself in the mirror and I'm a good guy, okay? So, how do we model, and this is coming from a famous paper of Nobel Prize, the classical model, is just you model the utility of the agent. Oh, so this framework is in game theory. So we need a utility for the agent and so on. So you model the utility of the agent as his intrinsic motivation, his cost for the action, and the reputation. And what you should really understand is how the reputation is computed. So basically, we call reputation how the society, which can be also you, again, estimate how much you are an altruistic guy. So basically, it's an estimation problem, okay? And from this estimation problem, you will have a rank that come up. And what is really interesting is we can play on which information is perceived by the society. For example, I can record all the consumption of energy to everyone in the room and give it to everyone. So then in this case, everyone will have a clear rank. You will be perhaps the first, this guy will be the second, and I will be the last. So this is one thing. But another really interesting thing is, for example, I record again all the energy consumption, but I just give to everyone here whether or not is part of the best group or the worst group. I only give that. So basically it's a 0-1 rank, right? And if you want to estimate, for example, whether or not I'm an altruist guy, so it's not the same to have the full information of the consumption of everyone, or just having whether or not I'm part of the worst group or the best group. And basically, by manipulating the information that I give it to you about the energy consumption about the other, this is called information design, and it will manipulate the reputation of everyone. So basically, you manipulate the scale of the reputation, and by doing that, you can improve, or you can try to find the best information design, such that people will increase as much as possible their consumption of energy. So it will be the goal of this presentation. I hope you understand at least the basic ideas. And for next time, I will go more in details on the mathematical model and how we do that explicitly and so on. That's it.